Hi, my name is Tonya. I have known Pastor Leggett since I was probably 11 or 12 years old when I was a member at not Macedonia, Mount Olivet, Seventh-day Adventist Church in Camden. And so I have grown up knowing Pastor. And as I got older, I started to be aware of this women's empowerment ministry that he was forming and creating. I think it probably started like in my college years. And he always teases me for this, but he had first sent me an invitation for one of his webinars or seminars, something. Um, and I didn't go. And I had initially registered, but I didn't go. And he truly believes that the reason I didn't go was because there was a fee associated. That is not the reason. Um, Maybe 10%. I was not in the mindset at that time to think that I needed help in how to date. I thought that, here I am, this young, vibrant college woman. I am fine. Dating is fine. It's trashy at times, but overall, it's fine. I can do this. I'm still going to end up married. No big deal. Um, Fast forward a few years later, with my college sweetheart, became a single mom. Long story short. And my world of dating changed dramatically. My priorities changed, the things that I wanted out of life started to change, but the navigation of the dating world was incredibly more difficult as a 25-year-old with a child. And I had hope. I was just like, it's still going to be fine. Pastor Leggett was still in the background, and I was still seeing his flyers and still seeing the work that he was doing. But again, I was going to be fine. I was going to be married by 30, no problem. And I wasn't. I wasn't. I did not have the tools I needed to navigate dating appropriately. I didn't have the tools I needed to know the height of my value and the worth that God has, and the value and the worth that God has placed on me as a woman, and what that means for my role in interacting with men and interacting in dating relationships. And so it was just failed opportunity after failed opportunity after failed opportunity. And I did get to a place where I started to feel pretty jaded about it, because I reached a point by 2018 where here I am, a assistant principal, master's degree, wonderful mom, active church member, plenty of friends, really successful life for myself, and I'm not even in a committed relationship. And so that was a year that I came out of a relationship that I thought was going to be the one, and it failed. And I was ready to give up. I was like, this is not going to happen for me, clearly. And so I started to change my mindset and just like really not take dating seriously anymore. I'd done dating sites, I'd done blind dates, I'd done setups, I'd done dates with friends, relationships with friends who became boyfriends. Just didn't work. And one day in 2018, my birthday to be exact, my girlfriend, who also grew up knowing Pastor Leggett, she said to me, she's like, well, we're going to his house for lunch. You should come. I was like, sure. And I agreed. And then she hit me with, and he has a little presentation for us. I said, girl, I don't want to talk about dating. I don't want to do this. I love Pastor again, but I thought we were just going to go visit him. And fast forward to us being in his living room. And there was a point during his presentation where I just fell silent, because as I'm listening to him, I'm realizing the concepts he's giving, the biblical background he's providing. The only thought in my mind was, I needed this 15 years ago. I needed this as a teenager. I needed this as a college student. I needed this as a young adult woman entering the adult dating scene. And I just started to replay every every single situation, every single dating context, and how I could have applied those principles to my life back then. And so I was quiet. And at some point, Pastor looked at me, he said, Tonya, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. Um, and that summer, I set to work on myself, my empowerment, my worth, and my value. So everything Pastor asked me to do that summer, I did. I did it with high engagement. I did it with true dedication and commitment. Every assignment, every conversation, every thinking tool, every strategy, I threw myself fully into it with a lot of prayer because I realized that this is what I need. And so I was very thankful to God for these resources because I had hope again. I said, this could be a game changer for me. And it ended up being so. By the time I was ready to start navigating dating again, I started to have these micro moments where I could apply the strategies that were taught. And so there was a time that I was approached by a young man while I was out to eat. And I used Pastor Against strategies, and I felt so good afterward. The man didn't get my number, but I felt so good because I was equipped and ready for that first encounter, for that first interaction, um, knowing the tools that I have at play and really understanding the greatest sense of my value and my worth. And so it was super exciting to navigate that first encounter with a man after doing the work with Pastor. Fast forward to November, I met my now husband, and that is when I really went heavy into the strategies because he presented himself on early as someone who I could take seriously. And so, literally, everything Pastor told me to do, I just did. I just did it. And there were times where I'm like, Pastor, I cannot say that to this man. And Pastor would always say, just trust me. And he would also say, you cannot allow fear to dictate you not doing this. Because really, it was about fear. It was about, what if he doesn't like me saying that? What if that's too much for him? And Pastor would always validate that by saying, then he's not the one, Tonya. And I'm like, yes, you're right. Okay, great. And I would do the things. And throughout the dating experience, my husband would say things like, I've never met anyone like you. I've never met anyone who thinks the way you do. I've never met anyone who knows exactly what they want out of a dating relationship. And that was so powerful because although I did the work, I felt like I can't take credit for that. That was the work from the sessions with Pastor Leggett of writing out my real man statement, which you'll learn about, knowing how to navigate difficult conversations when the things in my real man statement weren't being fulfilled. Um, and so I was just like constantly equipped and prepared, and I was able to practice on Pastor. I was able to do all the things necessary to prepare myself for these circumstances in dating. And so we met in November 2018. We were married November 2020. And again, my husband, if he were sitting right here next to you, here he is. If he were sitting right here next to me, he would say that there was just something unique about how I approached dating. He saw it immediately. I was unapologetic about it. And there was even a time where we were at a crossroads in our dating. And because of how prepared I was for that crossroads, he knew that he had to do something differently in order for us to keep going. And man, that was that was powerful. I've never been in that position of just like being in the driver's seat of a relationship and being able to determine the speed and direction that we're going. And his attentiveness to that helped me to feel confident in his leadership as a husband. And so there came to be a point where I didn't have any more fear, because if he couldn't love me the way that I wanted to be loved, I felt confident in knowing that we had to end it, because it would only produce more heartache and pain, in coming years. And so I would pay top dollar now, even though pastor thinks I wouldn't do it in the past, like seeing the value of it now. Had I known then what I know now, I would have given whatever amount of money he was asking for these seminars, because you don't foresee those issues, you don't foresee those difficulties. You think you can just like do this on your own strength, or with your own lived experiences, or with your own trauma. And like this helped unpack so many things that I was actually doing wrong and out of line with biblical and biological principles. So I'm really grateful for this experience. I'm really grateful that I have tools that are really lifelong, that I still use in marriage to this date, and that I'm teaching my son about now. And it's just a blessing. I'm really grateful for it. And I just thank Pastor for it. And I really hope that if anyone chooses to engage in this process, in this study, in these workshops, in the assignments, do it wholly and fully. I've seen folks do it halfway, and it doesn't end out the way that they want it. They pick and choose the things that they want out of the techniques, and they're not happy, they're not content, they're not fulfilled, and they still feel very much out of control in their dating experiences. And so my biggest piece of advice: do not let fear lead your decision makings, and engage fully and wholly, and pray through every part of this process, because this is very much aligned with what God wants for our lives. That's it.